Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast, which is brought to you by Factor Pre-Prepared Meals. Sam has a discount code for you coming up at the end of this podcast. And this is a fun After the Show podcast because this is something different that we don't normally do. It's a coworker of ours, Sarah, and her husband, Matt.
Hi, guys.
Hello. Welcome. And so, they work remotely. We've actually not had a chance to meet in person, but the reason that we want to do this podcast today, because they're the first couple that I've known that actually lives in a tiny house.
Just how tiny are we talking?
Matt?
399 square feet.
Smaller than I thought.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
So the reason this story is fascinating to me is because, so give us the background, right? I mean, you were full size, your kids, all that. Why are you, where did you come from and how did you get into a tiny home?
That one I'd like Sarah tell.
Yeah. Okay. So we our house we have 5 children. 2 of them are out of the house. So so we still have, actually 3 of them are out of the house. Oh my gosh, I forgot about Lauren. She's gonna get mad when she listens.
The house is small.
Yeah. So we have 3 out of the house. We still just have two at home. But we had 5 children and we lived in a 3,800 square foot home on 2 acres. Because you need that with that many kids. And and we had a series of events. We had my dad was living in RV in our house. At our land. He was terminally ill and he passed away. And then COVID hit. And then we had Snowmageddon here in Texas. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yes.
And our wellhead froze. And we had to go live in our RV for how long, hon?
About 4 months.
About 4 months. Till people could get to our wellhead because everyone had the same problem. And then when it was time to pack up and go home, we were disappointed. It was our feeling. Like most people said, oh, we want to go. And we were like, we really enjoyed the carefreeness of cleaning. And our RV was much smaller, right? It was how big is our RV? Like 200 square feet or something, Matt?
Yeah, something like that. About half the size.
And even though it was stressful, with the kids, because it was a much smaller, they had a bunk room and bunk beds, whatever. But we were still the carefree lifestyle of just so much less to maintain and everything. We just felt disappointment. We said, you shouldn't feel like that about going home. Right.
Correct.
And so when we got home, and I've always watched HGTV and all the tiny home shows. And so fast forward about 8 months, and I don't even remember what was going on. And Matt walked in the house one day and he said, and the Texas real estate market was insane. And particularly where we live in Parker County, we had something like 23 people a day were moving to Parker County and the real estate prices were through the roof. And our home value, our home value doubled.
Awesome.
From what and so Matt walked in the house one day and he said, let's sell and go tiny. I was in the kitchen. I wasn't expecting them. We hadn't even discussed it. And so we called our friend who was a realtor and she told us what we could get. And so we just did it. And we had to move out within a month though, because she said that all the real estate was dipping. So we downsized 3,800 to an RV initially. We lived in an RV for a year. We did it in about a month.
It was a nice garage sale.
Oh my God.
I was about to say, but all that stuff that we all feel like we accumulate constantly. It clutters up our lives and our minds, right?
We talked about that. We talked about that. We were in the military, so both of us, we don't cling to a lot of those types of things because we move so much. So you tend not to get those types of things because you move so much, they damage. You sell them before you move. So we didn't have a lot of those personal. I mean, we have some that we still have in storage, but we didn't have a lot of that. So a lot of that stuff we gave away. We donated a lot of stuff to charity. We donated it to schools, toys to schools, to books, things like that. So
that's a significant downsize, though. Was there anything you struggled with? It's okay, I don't really want to get rid of. We have no place for this.
Our biggest struggle was books.
Yeah,
really.
We both majored in lit in college. And so, but we finally were like, you know what? We want the book. We'll just get the digital book. And the one thing we agreed to keep, and I think this is how, Bob, I ended up telling you our story, were our records. We ended up albums take up less room. So we agreed we'll get rid of the books, but we'll keep our albums. So we have all of our albums. We were, we're vinyl phobes or whatever. So
how many albums do you have in the tiny house?
We probably have, well, we have some in the back because we have a back storage. So we only keep our favorites inside. Gotcha. So we probably have over 200, but most of them are in storage. The rest are, the favorites are above on the shelf.
Gotcha.
So I have 100 questions. Can I go?
Well, yeah. What I was going to say is that the conversation actually started with Sarah on this when I saw the turntable on a Teams call in the background, and we were talking about that, and she saw a Sonos speaker in the background on mine, and we're like, okay, oh wait, Sonos people, and that started the conversation because again, that's all small footprint stuff, and so I guess everything had to become small footprint. Yes. And if listening to this podcast and not watching the YouTube version, their turntable is actually mounted on a little shelf up on the wall. So everything's up out of the way and, not something you're going to trip on.
It's not taking up extra space.
Right.
Yep.
So help me with this. When you move into a tiny house, you have to have fewer things. How many bath towels are in rotation in your house at all times? And how, is your pantry smaller? Because it has to be, right? Help me with that.
So I'll cover the bathroom thing, and you can cover the pantry because you're the kid. So we have probably 8 towels, so 1 towel in rotation, and we do laundry a lot more. So we don't have a washer and dryer. We take our laundry to a place where it's washed and folded. It's just, and that's a choice we made because we were going to get a washer and dryer, but we found a place that it just out of convenience. We spend the places that do laundry in there, our laundry would be running nonstop because they're small and they're compact. Right. And so with this many people in the house, it would never stop and it would probably break. So we found a place. So we're able to just rotate, and towels rotate out and in, and we just do laundry more frequently, but you tend to find patterns and schedules, and that helps living in a tiny home. Same thing with bathroom. You have to have schedules with people in there to rotate in and out because it's a 1 bathroom. You just learn, those that was the hardest thing for me, was the scheduling of, bathroom and time when, going to bed and who gets the sink. But you just learn over time. That's the way to make it happen.
Okay, cool.
Pantry. And then I'll let Sarah answer the pantry. She's the kitchen queen.
Right.
Yeah. So we again, in our big house, we had a walk-in pantry, and I would shop for the month.
Right.
Now I shop, once, like 3 times a week. So I was talking to my boss yesterday who had lived in New York, and she said, oh, it's like New York living, right? You don't shop in bulk. So I don't, we shop like 3 times a week. We have a full size fridge, but we have I can't really show you, but we have drawers that pull, shelves that pull out, and there are pantries. It's our pantry. And then we have, like he said, our storage behind us. We have we keep food out here, like canned goods and stuff. So we don't keep nearly as much food on hand because we do like 3 times a week. And then the space that he said where we were going to keep the washer dryer connection is like the snack pantry now. And so we put shelves in there, and our 12-year-old, who is maybe like, I don't know, OCD organizationally, like loves it. I bring home snacks and she says, I'll go organize them. And she goes in and she gets them all organized, and the shelf and the chips are like alphabetized and like sodas. Yeah, she loves it. So,
right.
Cool. And it's all, freakishly organized.
The other thing you learn is we found out that we always overcook one before, you cook too much. Yeah. Now we cook literally for 4 people or 5 people that are there because you can't keep leftover, so those are the things you learn too when you're in a tiny home. You just can't store that type of stuff. There's just not room for it.
Does it make you less wasteful though?
Absolutely.
Yes.
It definitely does. Yes. Now I wish I could say we were responsible, and don't have, we're good stewards of our environment, and we don't throw away plastics and things like that, like you see on HGTV. But I wouldn't say we're that, but we definitely don't. We're
a lot better.
We don't waste food. We still consume trash like normal people, which we've done better, but we don't waste a lot of food because we just can't keep it, right? So we can't store leftovers and still shop for the next 3 days. So we have to eat what we have, so we make much smaller quantities. And in turn, you save money that way. I mean, it saves us a lot of money on groceries for sure.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that, not just groceries, but overall everything. Obviously, you're not heating and cooling a monster house.
Oh, yeah.
Have your monthly expenses just like fallen through the floor?
Yeah. So our electric bill dropped significantly. I mean, we were in a 3,800 square foot home. So I mean, you can get electric bills up in the $600-700.
$800. Yeah.
I think right now what we run our AC at, I think maybe 150. Up in that somewhere in there. So it definitely,
Our bedroom stays at 6. We keep our bedroom AC at 67.
Oh, whoa.
And it keeps the whole house pretty. Yeah, we sleep cold. And our electric bill, because we take that and keep it so cold, our electric bill runs a little high at about 150. But that cools the whole house in the summer.
How many
rooms?
We
have 2 units, and we don't use them both.
4?
There's 4 rooms. Yeah, technically there's 4 rooms. Yeah. There's 2 over the living room in the back of the trailer. It's a gooseneck style. So if you walk in, it's set on a 44-foot gooseneck chassis. It's got 4 axles. It weighs 25,000 pounds, and it's got a tongue weight of like 6,500 pounds. But if you go up over the tongue of the gooseneck, there's a stand-up queen bedroom suite, so you can stand up and walk around in it. Yeah. And then as you come away from, like, you're walking towards the back of the trailer, there's a crawl-in room with a twin bed, which is my son's, and it has a little shelving area with closet. And then as you come down,
he has a TV.
And as you come down the tongue, there's a stairway, which is like walking down the tongue of the chassis. That goes down into kind of the kitchen, and underneath the bedroom of my son's is the bathroom and shower. And then if you keep coming back towards the base of the back of the RV or of the tiny home is the living room. And then above the living room are 2 twin suites with a divider in the middle. So, and it's a loft.
That can all fit.
It sounds huge.
Right.
And so it feels much bigger than it is, because the space, these people that make these things are brilliant. They use the space so amazing. Every space, like if you kick underneath our shelves in the floor, a slide out storage will pop out. They use every space that you can possibly use for something. So there's no wasted space in there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever, 2 questions. Do you ever feel claustrophobic? And 2, do you ever just need to get away from everybody? Because everybody's near, correct?
So I'll tell you that mine, and then I'll let Sarah answer. So I don't, because I told Sarah, I feel like I come home to a vacation home every day. It's like being in a little cabin in the woods. And then the other piece is no matter what you do, we have to be a family. We have to eat dinner with our families again every meal, because there's nowhere else to eat. So we sit at the table, we sit at the breakfast, we sit at dinner every meal. We talk more, because you don't have a choice. Whereas before, we would come home, the kids would eat, and then they would disappear upstairs, and I wouldn't see them again until morning. So for us, it's been, and they like it, I think it was just a matter of habit. They would go up to watch TV, and then, so it's not that they didn't want to, we didn't want to be a family. They would that's just kind of how things went. They go up, go to the rooms, play video games, and go to sleep. So that's why I like it. I mean, sure, there's times where we were like, we need to go out, and it's more of, man, we sit home way too much. So we got to get out and go do something, is I think the feeling, not so much, I got to get out of here. I'm getting claustrophobic.
Okay. Great answer.
Yeah. And like in our old house, even though we were there, like you said, we never saw the kids. And where we were outside all the time. Like, we had a huge driveway. We were never in the house. We're outside. And that's kind of like how we are now. Unless it's winter, we have a huge wood deck. Like, how big is the deck, Matt?
It's as long as as long as it is. So it's 32 by 10, 32 feet long and 10 feet out. So it's a pretty good sized deck. So
we sit out on the deck, and we have a TV out there, and we'll sit out there and like watch the games, watch sports or whatever. So we sit out there all the time. So it's an extension of the home. So we spend a lot of time outdoors. We put a volleyball net outside. We have a fire pit. We spend a lot of time out there. But he's right. Like when we had the big house, we like had, Alexas chained up around the house just to, speaker systems to call the kids because we like, are y'all even home? Like we didn't even know if they're there. And now we see them, but they still have privacy. Like they have their little private spaces because that's important for kids.
Yeah.
But still, like we spend a whole lot more time, and we've gotten a lot closer.
I was about to say close family. Closer family is your result here. That's really beautiful.
The other thing I say is people always say that's not fair to the kids, right? Oh, you forced your kids into this living. We heard that when we first did it, but this was a decision that we made in a vacuum, right? We had a talk with our family. The kids had input, and we kind of told them, look, we can stay in our home and and live here like this, or we can sell this and we can have experiences and travel and
right.
And so since then we've been able to go do things as a family that we wouldn't normally or typically probably have been able to do. Like we traveled to Hawaii. We've been on vacations every year. So it was a decision that we all made, and they were and they were part of the building process. They got to help pick out all the stuff for the house. And they got to go visit and see it built. So it was all a kind of a family affair when we did this. It was pretty neat, actually.
So you had this one built and it's put on property that you already owned, or you had to go find property?
We had to find property, and right now we don't own it because we're still looking to where we want to be permanently. So we decided to lease until we can figure out where to put it permanently.
So it's easy enough to pick up, move, and take wherever you need.
So theoretically, I could move it with a pickup with a 3500 dually. It's pretty heavy, but you could pull it. It's just a gooseneck. On a gooseneck chassis, so I could pull it, or you could hire somebody. Yeah, or you could hire somebody to move it because it's not too tall that it's not one of the ones that you have to hire somebody and clear, go to DOT and those things. It's technically it's got a license plate on it, and you just pull it and move it.
And you get that thing safely under an overpass?
Yep. It is. It can pass any overpass on the highways.
That's incredible.
About to say.
That's crazy.
Our builder goes to the Tiny Home Festival in is it Colorado Springs? I think they go every year, and they take their build one of their homes up from it's Indigo River Tiny Homes is who did our build. And they're in Rockwall, Texas, which is right outside Dallas. And they take their build to Colorado Springs every year and pull it. So they go through like the pass and everything. Like they go
with a dually,
with their dually. And
that's cool. Yeah. Is there anything weird about insuring it because it's tiny? Is there any?
No, the hardest part was so financing was a little difficult because not many people recognize as tiny homes, from a financing standpoint. Okay. But insurance, insurance is just insured like a home, I think, just typical insurance. But financing was typical because it was a little difficult because there's only a very few select lenders that do finance true tiny homes. And so that was a little bit tricky. But once we found one, this process was, and the builder was, and again, plug to our builder Indigo, they were absolutely amazing when in the process to help us and to facilitate it. I mean, again, if you find a builder that's good like that, it makes everything much easier.
Right.
Sure.
I want to ask each of you separately, what's the worst thing about this?
So that's easy. And it's not even that bad. It was just getting used to the bathroom, going from 3 bathrooms and five kids to 1 bathroom. It's just trying to figure out that schedule. Especially like getting up in the morning for school when you have multiple people that need to get in there. It's just how do you work out that, and showers with athletics and events and things like that. I have a hard time finding a negative in it because it just suits our lifestyle or what we really wanted so well. I have a hard time finding something negative, but that's to me was the biggest challenge of the whole thing.
What about you, Sarah?
It's actually easy for me to come up with a negative, but not because I don't love it. It's just because I did it this morning and Matt's gonna know. It's the dog hair. So
okay.
we have a dog. He's an Australian Kelpie, and he sheds so bad. And we never noticed in the big house, like, because you just don't notice. But now it's like, and that's just the thing. It's just with the tiny home, you know, it's so much smaller to clean, and to clean it takes so much less time, but you just have to do it more often. And
Yes,
that's you know, but you know,
The
cleaning top to
good thing is
bottom.
though, you can be done in an hour. You can
That
clean.
is
You can
it.
do.
It is.
You can do deep clean, spring cleaning, and
Yeah,
be done in
yeah.
an hour and a half.
You can clean the whole thing top to bottom, and you know, a real deep clean in a couple hours. Whereas, you know, a deep clean of 3,800 square foot, it takes like, you know, a whole weekend, right?
A weekend.
Matt, if you miss your bathroom time, are you just out of luck for the day, or do you go to the end of the line?
So
he kicks some out. He's priority. He's the
well,
dad.
depends. There, I do still live.
I mean, if anybody misses theirs, is it like you have to wait now?
I typically just, you know, I'll wait. But again, I do live on half an acre, so.
You can just go outside.
I got you. Enough said there. A lot of
far away from everything. Yeah. It's really interesting to me that the paradox that a tiny home, it seems freeing. That's really, to me, out of everything you've talked about, it just really seems freeing. And so on the show, Sam's actually talked recently about, for the future, considering, you know, closer to retirement, selling this house and just buying
doing a camper van,
and just
which is much smaller than what you have, but it's kind of some of the same things. Some of the things you were describing about shelving being, you know, push in and hot. A lot of the vans I've seen are like that. So any recommendations or suggestions? Don't do it.
No, I mean, again, it's just one of those things where if it works for you, I mean, it's one of those things of, it's a lifestyle, right? It's a lifestyle change. And if it fits your lifestyle, it's going to work. I mean, for us, it seemed to have worked. And we had, you know, we have plans down the road to do, you know, we want, you know, we've talked about this. We want to have a plot of land of our own, and then put more than one of these, right? And then for the family, but then have a place where, like, a big common area, so people can congregate and have family time and stuff. But then they maybe have a place where they can go back and spend time with their own family. So there's some method to the madness here, and some thought that went into it for down the road as well.
It's fascinating. And the very first person I ever encountered with because I'd never heard of tiny houses until he told me that he bought a used school bus. And that's exactly. It's called a schoolie.
It's called a schoolie. It's called a schoolie.
Okay, I didn't know that, and that's what he, you know, invested in. And to me, and that's super tiny. I mean, that's less than 300 square feet. Obviously, that might be claustrophobic for me, but it's still fascinating to me.
You need shelter. You need shelter,
right? Any of the quote unquote comforts or things that you would need, you can somehow manage to get into that space. I've also seen the tiny homes now. There are a lot of people that Airbnb their tiny homes too.
Oh yeah, that's a cool idea.
So
that way somebody could experience it without taking the full plunge.
So maybe just the thought of 300 square feet sounds more confining than it would be, because the claustrophobia question that Jodi would have, I'm in one of those. I'm extremely claustrophobic. I don't think I could live in the schoolie, like you said, but I could, you know, you
just have to get rid of a lot of stuff.
I could see myself just going to maybe trying like an Airbnb just to see how it feels. Somebody's doing that and do the getaway. But I guess the other appealing thing is just the getting out and doing. You know, you've got your place, your shelter, but you're spending more time really just experiencing the outside world, is what it sounds like. You know,
we spend a lot more time sitting on the deck, you know, cooking out, you know, just being and doing other things that we would have just ended up coming home and plopping down on the couch and flipping on the TV.
Right. That's a waste.
Wow.
You guys are fantastic. This is one of my favorite after the show podcasts.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing it with us and with anyone who's interested.
Right.
Fantastic. Did you name it? Did you name your house?
Yeah, we did. Tell them, Matt.
It's the name of it's Quite a Party.
Quite a party.
Because
of
a tiny house.
From Lonesome Dove.
That's
if you remember the quote from Lonesome Dove when Gus is dying at the end, and he said, "It's been quite a party."
Oh.
And that's kind of our thing, is that at the end of your life, you should be like, it's been quite a party. Like you should look back and be like, yeah, we want to love life and look back at the end and be like, we enjoyed it, right? Like,
been quite a party.
Been quite a party.
Very good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love that so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Matt, Sarah, thank you. We really appreciate this.
It has been quite a party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. I really appreciate it.
Hey, wait, before we go, do you have any tiny home jokes? Like once you have, or something somebody's told you, like you got to go outside to change your mind?
That's Sam for you right there in a nutshell.
I think they're going to use that now.
Right.
Okay, Sam. Tell us about Factor Meals.
Factor Meals. This is great. I had a neighbor ask me about, every week you say there's 35 meals to choose from. Mm-hmm. It's the same meals every week. No, it's 35 different meals. They rotate certain meals in and out, and you got the 60 add-ons every week. Those change every week. So you're never eating the same thing over and over and over with these pre-prepared meals. Unless, of course, like you Jodi, you find that filet mignon you like, and you order that again next week because you want it. And with Factor Meals, you can continue as long as you want, or you can discontinue. It's not like you sign a contract and you're stuck in this for a year.
You can skip a week. I skipped next week.
Yeah, see? And 2 minutes in the microwave.
And
boom.
never frozen. That's the part that blows me away too.
Gourmet meal.
That sounds like tiny home food for me.
It does. It's very small, compact, and it's ready to go.
Factormeals.com, and the code is MSJ50. Factormeals.com, MSJ50. You get 50% off your first box, 20% off your second box.
Factor pre-prepared meals. Thank you for sponsoring the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast.